Welcome back to RAN Learning English. Today, we're diving into something super important for all English learners: 10 common mistakes in English that you might be making without even realizing it. Like someone saying, "I have 25 years." Sound familiar? Don't worry, you're not alone. These mistakes are super common, but the good news is, they're also super easy to fix. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid these errors and sound more fluent in English. So, grab a notebook, and let's get started. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a lesson. Ready? Let's go! Let's start with mistake 1, using since and for incorrectly. This is a super common mistake, but don't worry, it's easy to fix once you know the rule. Here's the mistake, saying something like, "I have been living here since 5 years." Sounds normal, right? But it's actually wrong. The problem is mixing up since and for. Here's the rule. Use for when you're talking about a period of time, like 5 years, 3 months, or 10 days. Use since when you're talking about a specific point in time, like 2010, January, or last week. So, the correct sentence is, "I have been living here for 5 years." Much better, right? Quick tip: if you can replace the time with from and it makes sense, use since. For example, since 2010 means from 2010. But if you're talking about a duration, like 5 years, use for. Got it? Great! Next up is mistake 2, confusing make and do. These two words are tricky because they both mean to perform an action, but they're used in different situations. Let's clear up the confusion. Here's the mistake, saying something like, "I need to do a cake for the party." Sounds okay, but it's actually wrong. The key difference is this. Use make when you're creating or producing something, like a cake, a decision, or a plan. Use do for general activities or tasks, like homework, chores, or exercises. So, the correct sentence is, "I need to make a cake for the party." See the difference? Quick tip: think of make as creating something new, and do as completing a task. For example, you make a phone call, creating communication, but you do your homework, completing a task. Easy, right? Now let's tackle mistake 3, misusing much and many. These words are often mixed up, but the rule is actually pretty simple once you know it. Here's the mistake, saying something like, "I have much friends." Sounds normal, but it's actually wrong. The key difference is this. Use many when you're talking about countable nouns, like friends, books, or apples. Use much when you're talking about uncountable nouns, like water, money, or time. So, the correct sentence is, "I have many friends." Much better, right? Quick tip. If you can count it, 1 friend, 2 friends, 3 friends, use many. If you can't count it, you wouldn't say 1 water, 2 waters, use much. For example, how many apples do you have? Countable. How much water do you need? Uncountable. Next up is mistake 4, saying "I am agree." This is a mistake I hear all the time, but don't worry, it's an easy fix. Here's the mistake, saying something like, "I am agree with you." Sounds okay, but it's actually wrong. The problem is that agree is a verb, not an adjective. So, you don't need to use am before it. Instead, just say I agree. So, the correct sentence is I agree with you. Simple, right? Quick tip. Think of agree as an action, not a state. You wouldn't say I am run or I am eat, right? It's the same with agree. Just say I agree. Using very too much. This is a mistake even native speakers make, but overusing very can make your English sound repetitive and less interesting. Let's fix it. Here's the mistake, saying something like, I am very, very tired. It's not wrong, but it's not the best way to express yourself. The problem is that very is overused and doesn't add much meaning. Instead, you can use stronger adjectives to make your sentences more powerful and precise. For example, instead of very tired, say exhausted. Instead of very hungry, say starving. Instead of very big, say huge. So, the better sentence is I am exhausted. See how much stronger that sounds? Quick tip. Next time you want to use very, think of a stronger word instead. It'll make your English sound more advanced and expressive. For example, very small tiny. Very happy thrilled. Very angry furious. Next up is mistake 6, confusing say and tell. These two words are often mixed up, but they're used in different ways. Let's clear up the confusion. Here's the mistake, saying something like, he said me to come early. Sounds close, but it's actually wrong. The key difference is this. Use say when you're reporting speech without an object. For example, he said, come early. Use tell when you're reporting speech with an object, the person you're speaking to, for example, he told me to come early. So, the correct sentence is, he told me to come early. See the difference? Quick tip, if you're mentioning who you're speaking to, use tell. If you're just reporting what was said, use say. For example, she said hello. No object. She told me hello. With object. Now let's tackle mistake 7, misplacing adverbs. Adverbs can be tricky because they don't always go where you think they should. But don't worry, I'll show you the rules. Here's the mistake, saying something like, I always am late. Sounds okay, but it's actually wrong. The rule is this. Adverbs like always, never, sometimes, and often usually go before the main verb but after the verb to be. For example, correct, I am always late. After to be. Correct, I always eat breakfast. Before the main verb eat. So, the correct sentence is, I am always late. Much better, right? Quick tip, if the verb is to be am, is, are, was, were, put the adverb after it. For other verbs, put the adverb before the main verb. For example, she never eats meat. Before eats. He is often tired. After is. Next up is mistake 8, using double negatives. This is a common mistake that can completely change the meaning of your sentence. Let's fix it. Here's the mistake, saying something like, I don't know nothing. Sounds strong, but it's actually wrong. The problem is that in English, two negatives cancel each other out. So, I don't know nothing actually means I know something, which is the opposite of what you're trying to say. So, the correct sentence is, I don't know anything. This makes it clear that you truly don't know. Quick tip. In English, one negative is enough. For example, instead of I don't have no money, say I don't have any money. Instead of I can't find nobody, say I can't find anybody. Now let's look at mistake 9, saying how is it called? This is a mistake I hear a lot, but it's easy to fix once you know the right way to say it. Here's the mistake, saying something like, how is it called in English? Sounds close, but it's actually wrong. The problem is that how is used to ask about the way something is done, while what is used to ask about names or definitions. So, when you want to know the name of something, use what? So, the correct sentence is, what is it called in English? Much better, right? Quick tip, if you're asking for a name or definition, use what? For example, what is your name? What does this word mean? But if you're asking about the way something is done, use how. For example, how do you spell this word? How do you make this dish? Finally, let's tackle mistake 10, confusing borrow and lend. These two words are often mixed up, but they have completely different meanings. Let's clear up the confusion. Here's the mistake, saying something like, can you borrow me a pen? Sounds close, but it's actually wrong. The key difference is this. Borrow means to take something temporarily from someone else. For example, can I borrow your pen? Lend means to give something temporarily to someone else. For example, can you lend me a pen? So, the correct sentence is, can you lend me a pen? See the difference? Quick tip, think of it this way. Borrow is for the person receiving something. Lend is for the person giving something. For example, I borrowed a book from the library. I took it. She lent me her car. She gave it to me. And that's it, 10 common mistakes in English and how to fix them. Let's do a quick recap. Use for with periods of time and since with specific points. Use make for creating and do for general tasks. Use many for countable nouns and much for uncountable nouns. Say I agree, not I am agree. Replace very with stronger adjectives. Use tell with an object and say without one. Place adverbs after to be and before main verbs. Avoid double negatives, one negative is enough. Use what for names and definitions, not how. Use borrow to take and lend to give. Remember, making mistakes is part of learning, so don't be afraid to practice and improve. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more English tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.